Hey, so today I wanted to talk to you guys about wealth and risk management and how it can relate back to the Bible. So, the first point I want to make is that money is a tool and it's not the goal. So, money itself is neutral, it's not inherently good or evil. Now, the problem just comes when people allow money to dictate their decisions and their emotions and their sense of self worth. So many traders, they make the mistake of seeing money as the goal, right? And rather than a tool to be used wisely. So when money becomes the primary focus, it creates stress, fear, greed, and ultimately just bad decision making, right? So the traders, we start forcing trades, we start over leveraging, making impulsive moves, just because we feel like we need to make money right now, right? But trading, just like building wealth, in general, is about process over outcome, right? So if you chase, just get rich quick schemes, you'll eventually just lose everything, right? But when you develop that wisdom and patience, wealth follows as a byproduct, and professional traders, we understand like that our job is not to make money, right? It's to execute a sound strategy with discipline. And the money just comes as a result of, that consistent execution, not just like emotional gambling, right? And the same is true in biblical wisdom. Wealth follows diligence and patience, not recklessness. Proverbs 13:11 says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." Right? And I feel that verse, perfectly applies to trading as well. Those who try to flip small accounts quick or, chase those big, huge wins, those like lottery size wins or risk more than they should, inevitably they always blow their accounts, right? But traders that trade with discipline and, that manage their risk and focus on that long-term growth rather than just like how much money they can make like in one trade, those are the ones that see the wealth increase steadily, right? So overall, like money should serve a purpose, not be the purpose, right? And wealth, it's always going to follow wise decision making and not just impulsive actions. And if you focus on consistency and process, the money will just take care of itself. That you don't even need to think of it. And so there's a story in the Bible. It's the parable of the talents. So it's in Matthew 25. There's a it is a there's like a master, and he entrusts three of his servants with talents, which is just like money. And he gives one of them 5 talents. He gives one two, and he gives one talent. And and then the master goes out, and then when he returns, he goes to his servants and he's like, What did you guys do with the money that I gave you?" And the first one that he gave 5, he took the money and he invested and he doubled it. The second servant, he gave 2 talents. He took the money, invested it, and doubled it. And the final servant that he gave 1 talent, so out of fear, that servant, he goes and he buries it. He hides it in the ground instead of using it wisely, right? And so when the master returns, he praises the two that multiplied, that took the money, multiplied it, did what they needed to do. And then he kind of condemns the one that just went and out of fear just hid it in the ground, right? And this parable, it's directly related to risk management and trading, right? The first 2 servants, they assess their risk, and their reward correctly, right? They didn't gamble it recklessly, but they also didn't just sit back and do nothing with it, right? They took calculated actions, and they grew what they had. Third servant, he just hid it in the ground. He let fear control his decision making, and that's a huge problem a lot of traders have, right? And instead of doing something productive, he just froze and ended up with nothing, right? And I think just the lesson in that parable related to trading, like it's just that good financial management requires wisdom and not avoidance or recklessness, right? Luke 12:48 says, "To whom much is given, much is required," right? So this applies to traders managing their capital. If you're entrusted with money, God expects you to be a good steward with it, right? Trading recklessly, that's bad stewardship. It's not just a bad strategy, right? It's bad stewardship. And overall, like the risk is necessary, right? Avoiding all risk means you're just avoiding opportunity, right? There's always going to be a level of risk associated with opportunity, right? But wise traders know how to assess that risk properly. They don't gamble, but they also don't let fear just stop them from sitting and doing nothing. And being a good steward of money, that means making calculated, responsible financial decisions, right? So why is recklessness? Why is reckless trading bad stewardship? So a lot of traders, they try to justify their reckless decisions, like, I'm just gonna full port my account and see what happens. See if I can get funded today. Oh, if I lose, I'll just buy another account. I need to make this money now. Whatever. That's not trading. That's literally gambling. You know, and the Bible is clear. The Bible says very clearly that wasting resources is foolish. So, the trader that's just constantly over leveraging, that revenge trades, that just risks too much during every trade, they aren't making, they aren't just making like bad trading decisions. It's mismanaging what God has like entrusted to them. All the money that you have, everything you've made, you're meant to be a good steward with it. God is entrusting that money to you. So like, for example, if God gave you a specific amount of money, say he gave you, let's say God came down, gave you $10,000, right? And God said, manage this money wisely. Would your first instinct be to just go to the Publix up the street and buy $10,000 worth of scratch off tickets? Probably not. Some of you might, but most likely not, right? And that's essentially what traders are doing every single day, right? Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but the fools gulp theirs down," right? So a wise trader understands that protecting your capital, that's just as important as growing it, right? You buy this account, whether you're trading on a prop account, whether you have your own live money account, protecting that capital is just as important as growing it. So a foolish trader, they're just going to go and risk everything for just to try to get quick money. People trying to get funded in a day, and they just lose it all the time, right? So I think, so overall, like reckless trading, that's financial mismanagement, right? You wouldn't gamble money that God handed to you in person. So why would you do it in trading, right? It's money that you're entrusted with. There's no difference, right? And a trader's first priority should be to preserve their capital, right? Because if you don't protect your account, you just won't have one, right? If you just keep blowing your account, especially when it gets to the point where you're consistently, like say you have multiple accounts and it's your main form of income, you don't want to blow your account. That's the last thing you want to do. So that's your number one. That's your number one priority. And that, overall, like emotional trading is always going to lead to destruction. Always. Trading from a place of greed and fear, you know, instead of logic and discipline, that's always going to end in losses. Always. And, we need to remember, importantly, to trust in God instead of the money that you have. And, that's one of the biggest problems that traders face, right, is allowing money to control their decision making and their emotions, right? Every we've all been there. Like, you get euphoric whenever you win, depressed when you lose. Like, when you lose a trade in the morning, you're depressed the entire day, right? And your entire sense of confidence. Should I even be trading? Am I even good at this? Like, is this my calling? Like, it's tied. Literally your entire sense of confidence is tied to your P&L, and that's an issue. That means that money is your foundation when it should be God, right? It should be God, not the money. Money shouldn't dictate how you feel, what you're going through. It shouldn't, right? So when you trust money more than God, you're always going to feel unstable. God is the only amount of stability that you will have within this trading journey, right? Because the market's uncertain. And if your confidence is based on just how the market's moving, you're just going to constantly be in an emotional roller coaster, right? But if your faith in God instead of the market, you know, then your mindset won't be shifted by whether you win or lose, because you're always going to have that trust in God, not just the market. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, right? In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths, right? So a trader who trusts in God's provision, right? They don't need to force trades. They don't need to over leverage. They don't need to, like, act out of desperation. And they understand that, opportunities will always come. Just because you had a red day, just because you lost a little bit of money, tomorrow you could literally make it back in double, right? And just remember, they also remember, like, losses are part of the journey, right? But they don't let failure define them, right? Just because you have a losing day, not going to let that affect you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and good trader always remembers wealth is a tool and it's not the source of your identity, right? And just remembering that allows you to trade with peace, and it allows you to trade with, like, a clear mind and not be stressed out. So if, like, your faith is in money, you're always going to be unstable. Always. It's the market fluctuates, but, like, the one consistent thing that you can always rely on is God. It's never going to change, right? And if you trust in God's provision, you won't trade out of desperation or fear, right? And just remember, like, money is just a resource. It's not your source of self-worth, right? It's not your source of self-worth. And the last point I wanted to make was that, we will also get to the point in our journey where we become profitable, we start making money. So and a very important thing to do is that when you make profit, that needs to be also used for God's glory, right? What's the point of financial success if it's only for personal gain, you know? And the Bible's clear that when God blesses us with wealth, it's not just for us, right? True wealth is about making an impact. And if you use your money just selfishly, going buying cars, buying clothes, buying jewelry, doing all this crazy stuff, it's never going to bring that long lasting fulfillment, But if you're using it to help others and to honor God, like, that wealth and money that you built isn't in vain. It all has meaning, right? Proverbs 3:9 says, honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of your crops, right? So, how can a trader use their profits for something bigger than themselves? Obviously, giving, tithing, supporting ministries, helping those in need, giving to the homeless, like, those are simple ways that you can use those profits to glorify God. Investing in, God's kingdom, supporting businesses, supporting projects that you believe in, that also align with those same biblical values, and also just teaching others, sharing knowledge with new traders, mentoring them. Those are ways that, even non-monetarily, that you can give back. It's because money without purpose, that's just going to lead to emptiness, right? all those clothes, new shoes, cars, like jewelry, it's not going to lead to anything. True wealth is about how much of an impact can you make on others, right? And using your money to serve others without, like, that brings fulfillment, right? Selfish wealth doesn't, right? And God, God is always going to bless those who manage their wealth wisely. So, treat your profits as a resource to be used for good as well. So, overall, about what the Bible kind of says and how we can relate it. Money is a tool, it's not the goal. Just remember that, reckless trading, it's bad stewardship, and to always trust in God, not the market. And that true wealth is about impact, not just accumulation. And that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to be making videos like this pretty often. Just, I just want to relate the Bible and God back to, trading, especially with and helping out traders that are believers, because my trading, I had a long, just drawn out trading process that literally could have been streamlined if I just like knew all this and like related it back to my faith, right? So thank you guys. I love you guys. Be safe.